In the world of WWE, where every move and every line of dialogue is carefully crafted, even the smallest misstep can send a wrestler's career plummeting. It doesn't take a massive scandal or earth-shattering controversy. Sometimes, just a single careless moment or split-second bad decision is enough for WWE to pull the plug and push someone out of the spotlight. From rising stars to familiar veterans, this is the story of those who lost their place over something that seemed far too minor to cost them everything. Serena Deeb. Before making her mark as the hard-hitting professor in AEW and capturing prestigious titles in NWA, Serena Deeb had a memorable, yet bittersweet, run in WWE. It was a unique role, but ironically, it would also be the reason she lost her job over what seemed like a harmless mistake. In 2010, Serena joined the Straight Edge Society, a faction led by CM Punk. Their mission was clear: to promote a clean lifestyle, no alcohol, no tobacco, no drugs of any kind. Alongside Luke Gallows and Joey Mercury, Serena portrayed a devoted follower, willing to sacrifice her personal image for the sake of the story. Her on-screen head-shaving was a powerful, shocking moment that proved her complete commitment to the character, leaving a lasting impression on fans. But backstage life told a different story. Serena was still a young woman with friends, personal interests, and a desire to enjoy life outside the ring. During some downtime, she was spotted drinking and having fun with friends. For most jobs, this wouldn't have been a big deal. But to WWE at that time, it shattered the clean-living image her character represented on TV. The issue was WWE's strict policy back then of keeping on-screen personas perfectly aligned with real-life behavior. They believed that if fans saw Serena doing something that contradicted her straight-edge character, the entire storyline would lose credibility. And so, with nothing more than a photo taken at a bar, Serena paid the price. Her WWE career was over. It may seem harsh, especially since everyone knows wrestling is a blend of sport and entertainment, and not everything on TV reflects reality. But WWE treated protecting the gimmick as a rule of survival, and Serena became a prime example of how seriously they enforced it. Not long after her departure, the Straight Edge Society dissolved, leaving fans feeling that the angle ended far too soon and without closure. Serena's story is a reminder that in WWE, even an everyday action, seemingly unrelated to the job, can erase years of hard work and rob a talent of their chance to shine. Dawn Marie. Before joining WWE, Dawn Marie made a strong impression in ECW while managing Lance Storm. She stood out not only for her captivating presence but also for her ability to blend drama and provocation, making every appearance a highlight. When she transitioned to WWE, Dawn continued to showcase those strengths, and one of her most memorable storylines came in 2003 with the over-the-top romance involving Al Wilson, Tori Wilson's father. This angle was both shocking and humorous in that distinct early 2000s WWE way. Fans still remember the on-screen wedding between Dawn Marie and Al Wilson, followed by the absurd twist of AL's death after their honeymoon. The resulting feud between Dawn and Tori dragged on in deliciously over-the-top fashion, cementing Dawn's place as one of the company's most hated, but also most watchable villains. After that storyline ended, Dawn remained a regular on WWE programming. In 2005, she even reunited with Lance Storm to manage him at ECW One Night Stand. Everything seemed stable, until WWE suddenly announced her release. The reason wasn't a scandal, rule violation, or serious injury. In fact, the truth was so unexpectedly simple it shocked many. Dawn Marie was pregnant. Once the company learned this, they deemed her no longer fit for the role and terminated her contract. To many, it was a cold and inhumane decision, especially since she could have easily contributed in non-wrestling roles. But at the time, WWE seemed to believe that a pregnant character had no place in their ongoing storylines. The decision not only derailed her career but also placed tremendous emotional strain on Dawn during a delicate period of her life. Feeling unfairly treated, she took legal action against the company. The case dragged on until 2007, when both sides reached an out-of-court settlement. After that, Dawn Marie virtually disappeared from WWE's spotlight. She shifted her focus to personal endeavors and made only rare public appearances in the wrestling world. Her story serves as a stark reminder that sometimes, a completely normal life event, like preparing to welcome a new child, can abruptly bring an otherwise steady career to an end. Dave Finley. Mention the name Fit Finley, and most people instantly picture a tough-as-nails brawler, ready to jump into any fight. Known for his rugged no-nonsense style both in and out of the ring, Finley built a reputation as someone who didn't shy away from a scrap. After hanging up his boots, he stayed in the business, transitioning into a backstage role as an agent, helping design storylines, plan segments, and direct how matches would unfold before they ever reached the audience. It was a position with significant creative influence, but it also came with full accountability if something went wrong. In 2011, during a WWE live event, Finley approved a segment that would prove costly. As the US national anthem played, The Miz, then the WWE champion, interrupted, cutting it off mid-performance to rile up the crowd and generate more heat for his villainous persona. From Finley's perspective, it was a clever move. What better way to make fans despise a heel than by having him disrespect a solemn moment? And with WrestleMania 27 approaching, he believed a surge of negative reaction could only help build hype for Miz's big match. What Finley overlooked was an unspoken rule in American culture. Symbols of patriotism, especially the national anthem, are extremely sensitive subjects. That night's crowd didn't consist solely of passionate wrestling fans. Members of the National Guard were also in attendance. For them, the moment wasn't part of an act, it was a blatant sign of disrespect. The backlash was immediate. Word spread quickly, and event organizers faced a flood of complaints. As the one who greenlit the segment, Finley took the brunt of the blame. It didn't take long before WWE announced his release, a shocking move, given his long-standing respect and consistent contributions behind the scenes. However, this wasn't the end of his WWE journey. After some time away, Finley was invited back, resuming his backstage role and training the next generation of talent. Even so, the incident remains a cautionary tale. In WWE, a moment that seems harmless on paper can spark serious fallout, especially when it touches on deeply held national values. Finley's story is proof that in WWE's backstage world, one decision can turn into a full-blown storm. And sometimes, the Belfast Brawler found himself knocked down, not in the ring, but by the consequences of a single miscalculated choice. Emma. Tennille Dashwood, better known to fans as Emma, may hold one of the strangest records in WWE history, being fired and re-signed within just a few hours. The reason? An incident so minor that, when retold, it almost sounds like a joke. In 2014, Emma stopped by a Walmart to pick up a few items. She went through the self-checkout line, scanned her products as usual, and paid. However, in the process, she accidentally failed to scan a $20 iPad case. Unaware of the mistake, she walked away from the register, only to be stopped by store security. The result? She was accused of shoplifting and required to appear for a community court hearing the next day. For most people, this could have been cleared up as a misunderstanding. But for WWE, having one of their televised performers linked to a negative headline, no matter how small, was seen as a bad look for the company. Not long after the story broke, WWE announced they had released Emma. All over a $20 iPad case. The decision sparked immediate backlash online. Many felt it was nothing more than an honest mistake and not worth destroying her career. Criticism of WWE grew by the hour, with fans rallying behind Emma and turning the situation into a trending topic across the wrestling community. Under intense public pressure, the company reversed course. Less than a day after announcing her release, WWE re-signed Emma, framing the whole thing as a misunderstanding that had been resolved. Even though she returned, the incident still had consequences. She was required to complete an online community safety course, perform 1 day of community service, and, of course, endure relentless teasing from both co-workers and fans. In the end, a moment of carelessness had almost cost her entire WWE career. The ordeal not only made Emma more well-known but also served as a reminder that even the smallest oversight can snowball into unexpected trouble. And without the overwhelming support from fans, her WWE chapter might have ended that summer. Brad Maddox. Brad Maddox was once one of WWE's most talked-about figures, not because of championship accolades, but for the unforgettable moments that marked both his arrival and his departure from the company. His first major appearance came in 2012 at Hell in a Cell, where he played the role of the biased referee in the CM Punk vs. Ryback match. That shocking swerve instantly turned him into one of the most hated characters in the eyes of fans, signaling that WWE had different plans for him than for a typical in-ring competitor. Instead of being groomed as a star wrestler, Maddox was quickly slotted into unique roles, most notably as the Raw general manager. In that position, he was often the on-screen punching bag for bigger names, taking humiliations as part of the storyline. He still wrestled occasionally, but mostly in dark matches, contests held before or after televised shows, meant only for the live audience. Things took a sharp turn on November 24, 2015, during a dark match for WWE main event against R-Truth. Before the bell rang, Maddox grabbed a microphone and cut a short promo to fire up the crowd. In the middle of it, he casually referred to the audience as cocky pricks, a phrase that, while not the most vulgar in wrestling history, still crossed WWE's acceptable line. To the live crowd, it may have seemed like a standard bit of heel banter. But for WWE management, it was inappropriate enough to warrant immediate action. Within days, Maddox was released from his contract. His WWE career, which had started with a surprising and memorable twist, ended just as abruptly, over one unscripted line. After leaving the company, Maddox wrestled only once on the independent circuit in 2016 before disappearing from the wrestling scene entirely. Ironically, what he said that night was tame compared to some of Vince McMahon's own on-air remarks, including the time Vince famously dropped the F-bomb while threatening Shane McMahon. And of course, no one ever considered firing the boss. Brad Maddox left WWE with a peculiar legacy, proof that one slip of the tongue can instantly end an opportunity, no matter where you stand on the career ladder. Gangrell. During the height of the Attitude Era, Gangrell was one of WWE's most distinctive characters. With his vampire-inspired persona, blood-filled goblet entrance, and pounding theme music, he made a strong impression despite never winning any championship, not even the often hot-potatoed hardcore title. This only added to fans' sense that his potential had been underused. After the Brood disbanded in 1999, Gangrell lost his momentum. Without the backing of Edge and Christian, he drifted in the mid-card, working in minor storylines that never propelled him higher. A leg injury forced him to take time off, and during that hiatus, his physique changed. He gained weight, losing the lean, intimidating look he'd had at his peak. The turning point came in 2001. In one match, Gangrell's shirt tore mid-bout, exposing a body that no longer fit Vince McMahon's aesthetic standards. Reports suggest McMahon reacted with visible displeasure. While WWE never officially confirmed the reason for his release, many believe that incident was the final straw that led to his termination. This wouldn't have been surprising given Vince's well-known preference for wrestlers with larger-than-life, muscular physiques, his superhero ideal for the ring. That said, the standard wasn't absolute. After all, Yokozuna, with his massive frame, was given 2 runs as WWE champion. Although his release was disappointing, Gangrell's WWE chapter wasn't completely closed. 3 years later, in 2004, he returned briefly as one of JBL's henchmen. The comeback was short-lived but memorable, a reminder that his vampire character still had a place in fans' hearts. And perhaps before stepping back into WWE, he reassured Vince that the blood in his goblet was now low-calorie plasma. Nails. When it comes to real-life backstage altercations with Vince McMahon, Nails' name will always make the list. In 1992, WWE introduced him as a towering ex-convict, clad in an orange prison jumpsuit with a menacing glare, holding a deep grudge against Big Boss Man for allegedly abusing him behind bars. From the moment he appeared, Nails drew attention. Despite moving at a deliberate, almost tree stump after a lightning strike pace, WWE portrayed him as a genuine threat. His matches at SummerSlam and Survivor Series made it clear the company had big plans for the character. But his WWE career would take a dramatic and short turn. In December that year, everything unraveled after a heated argument with Vince McMahon over money. According to Bret Hart's autobiography, Bret was near the office area when he heard shouting and commotion. Looking in, he saw Nails with both hands around Vince's neck, shoving the boss against the wall right there in the office. This wasn't a scripted TV segment. It was a real backstage incident. While accounts differ on the details, everyone agrees on one thing. Nails crossed a line no one in the company dared to, physically attacking the top man in charge. Unsurprisingly, WWE immediately terminated his contract. The relationship soured so badly it spiraled into lawsuits. Nails accused Vince of harassment and underpayment, while WWE countered that his violent conduct was inexcusable. Ironically, in wrestling, Certain acts of violence can be spun into compelling storylines to captivate fans. But in Nail's case, it became the end of his WWE run. Within months, he went from a heavily pushed star to completely erased from programming. Looking back, if Nails had chosen a different way to vent his frustration, say, driving a beer truck to Vince's office and soaking the place in a prank, maybe he could have sparked a fresh storyline instead of ending his career. But history has no what-ifs, and Nails is now remembered as one of the rare few who laid hands on Vince McMahon and paid the price immediately. Daniel Bryan. There's no need for much introduction here. Just hearing the name Nexus feels like reopening a chaotic, red ink-stained page in WWE history. In 2010, Wade Barrett and 7 rookies from the first season of NXT shocked the world by launching one of the most chaotic and jaw-dropping invasions ever seen on Raw. On June 7, 2010, the 8 men appeared without warning during a match, storming the ring and destroying everything in their path. Ring ropes, mats, even the commentary table. Fans watched in disbelief as they attacked not only the wrestlers in the ring but also commentators and staff. One of the most jaw-dropping moments came when they targeted ring announcer Justin Roberts, known for his polished, professional demeanor. It was here Daniel Bryan made what WWE saw as a step too far. In the chaos, Bryan grabbed Roberts' tie and pulled it tight around his neck. In the mayhem, the act looked extremely violent, and more importantly, it crossed the boundaries WWE wanted to maintain for its PG, family-friendly programming. As soon as the segment ended, consequences came swiftly. WWE announced Bryan's release, citing the need to reassure sponsors and protect the company's image. Fans were stunned. Overnight, Bryan went from a key member of the hottest faction in WWE to completely gone. Many saw the decision as overly harsh, since everyone knew the attack was part of a scripted segment. Still, WWE refused to risk any negative backlash from the public. But this wasn't the end. Just a few months later, WWE quietly reached out and brought Bryan back. At SummerSlam 2010, he made a surprise return as part of John Cena's team, ironically, against Nexus, the very group he helped create. The moment felt both like a WWE mea culpa and a fresh chapter for Bryan. In hindsight, leaving Nexus early turned out to be a blessing. The group quickly lost momentum and fell apart due to poor creative decisions, while Bryan escaped the sinking ship and had the chance to stand out on his own. From there, he steadily built the image of a people's hero, a persona that would carry him to heights no one could have predicted back then. The Ultimate Warrior. SummerSlam 1991 was a night where WWE delivered the full emotional roller coaster, a blend of heaven and hell. The heaven came in the form of an unforgettable moment, the romantic on-air wedding between Macho Man, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, broadcast live for the world to see. It was a fairy tale scene, though few knew that just a year later, in real life, the couple would go their separate ways. The hell arrived in the form of a 3-on-2 handicap match, pitting America's patriotic heroes against foreign villain characters. Sergeant Slaughter, General Adnan, and Colonel Mustafa joined forces to battle WWE champion Hulk Hogan and his high-octane partner, former champion The Ultimate Warrior. The match ended with thunderous cheers as Hogan and Warrior stood tall, bringing pride to the American crowd. But behind the bright lights, a storm had been brewing that no fan could have predicted. Just hours before the event, backstage word spread that The Ultimate Warrior had sent Vince McMahon an ultimatum. He wouldn't step into the ring unless he received a massive bonus for his appearance at WrestleMania 7 earlier that year. Backed into a corner with the event looming, Vince had little choice but to agree, ensuring Warrior took part and the match went on without a hitch. But the moment Warrior stepped backstage, still basking in the glow of victory alongside Hogan, Vince delivered a cold decision. His contract was terminated, immediately. No warning, no second discussion, just a blunt notice that Warrior was fired. Over time, rumors swirled about what really happened. Some claimed Warrior was simply demanding fair treatment compared to other top stars, while others accused him of greed, using his star power to strong-arm WWE. Whatever the truth, the outcome remained. After SummerSlam, The Ultimate Warrior disappeared from WWE television for the next 8 months. His absence wasn't just a talent gap, it was a financial blow. Warrior's image had been a merchandising goldmine, driving sales of shirts, memorabilia, and other products. Yet Vince still chose to cut ties, showing just how fragile the relationship between a superstar and the company could be. One wrong move, or a demand made at the wrong time, and a career could end in an instant. Jeff Jarrett. In WWE history, it's rare for Vince McMahon to publicly fire a wrestler live on television, especially at a time when the whole world is watching. But March 26, 2001, became one of those exceptions, and a textbook example of Vince's ruthless side. That night, WWE had just completed a historic deal, purchasing WCW. Vince turned the moment into a grand spectacle. Raw and Nitro aired simultaneously, with McMahon appearing on both shows to declare his absolute power. In the middle of this, he brought up the chosen one, Jeff Jarrett, a former WCW star who had also spent time in WWE. Instead of welcoming Jarrett to the new roster, Vince delivered one of the coldest on-air send-offs ever. Slowly, he spelled it out. G-O-O-N-N-E. Gone. It was the verbal equivalent of slamming the door in Jarrett's face. Insiders believed the grudge dated back to 1999, when Jarrett left WWE for WCW. Before his final match, his contract had already expired, and he reportedly demanded WWE pay him in full before stepping into the ring. Vince saw it as being held hostage, and the memory stuck. Ironically, even that live firing didn't take immediate effect. Jarrett still had a guaranteed contract with AOL Time Warner, WCW's parent company at the time, meaning Vince couldn't legally terminate him right away. But once the contractual ties were cut, Jarrett was officially gone, moving on to co-found TNA, where he thrived both as a performer and an executive. Time, however, has a way of softening old grudges. After years of animosity, Jarrett and WWE eventually reconciled. He returned as a guest, and in 2018, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, a fitting honor for a decades-long career. From a dramatic public execution to standing proudly in the Hall of Fame, Jeff Jarrett's journey proves that in wrestling, no door is ever truly closed. And as Double J himself would say, choke on that, slap nuts. Sometimes, the end of one chapter just sets the stage for a brighter one. Mr. Kennedy. If there was ever a name once predicted to become WWE's next top star, only to fizzle out faster than fireworks, it was Mr. Kennedy. With rare mic skills, a strong look, and solid in-ring ability, Kennedy quickly earned Vince McMahon's trust. Big storylines were even planned to push him into the main event scene. But instead of rising to the top, Kennedy became the perfect example of right place, wrong time. He suffered multiple injuries precisely when WWE needed him most, forcing plans to be rewritten again and again. To make matters worse, his name came up during the 2007 performance-enhancing drug scandal, shaking management's confidence in him. The breaking point came in 2009. After a match on Raw, Randy Orton accused Kennedy of nearly injuring him during a suplex. For Vince, protecting top stars was non-negotiable, and this was the final straw. Just days later, Kennedy was abruptly released, despite having only just returned from a long absence. Kennedy went on to wrestle elsewhere, keeping his trademark confident style, but his WWE run is forever remembered as big potential, but missed the golden chance. A clear reminder that in WWE, a few wrong moments can erase even the brightest future. Ryback. When Ryback first burst onto WWE television, he was immediately presented as the company's next unstoppable powerhouse. With his massive physique, explosive strength, and the booming "Feed Me More" chant echoing through arenas, Ryback became an instant phenomenon. His matches often ended in minutes, with opponents demolished in just a few moves, and his long undefeated streak quickly earned him a WWE Championship match against CM Punk, a rare opportunity for any newcomer so early in their career. But from that peak, things began to unravel. Ryback suffered a string of losses in high-profile matches, shattering his invincible image. Fan excitement cooled, replaced by boos and jeers. While he still featured in major storylines, he was no longer viewed as a potential heir to WWE's top star spot. The situation worsened when Ryback openly expressed frustration with how WWE treated him. He claimed his pay didn't match the effort he put in, hinting that top-tier talents were favored while he was held back. These grievances weren't confined to backstage whispers. He voiced them on his blog and social media, making comments that clearly irked WWE management. Ironically, what ultimately led to his departure wasn't a major scandal or a serious disciplinary breach. It was simply his decision to publicly discuss contract negotiations and demand fairer compensation. In WWE's culture, where such matters are usually handled quietly, this was seen as crossing the line. In 2016, Ryback left WWE in cold silence. No farewell on TV, no thank you from the company. Just the memory of a man who was once pushed to the top, only to fall just as quickly as he used to crush his opponents. While he continues to wrestle on the independent circuit and maintain his wrecking machine persona, Ryback's story stands as a reminder that in WWE, even a single misstep, no matter how small, can end everything. These stories show that in WWE, the line between glory and unemployment can be razor thin. One small mistake, and a career can vanish in an instant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you won't miss the next big drama.